Okay, so today's shapes and stretching video is going to start with one of the most versatile and useful tools you can have for getting shapes in your body. So these are yoga blocks. I know you guys have seen yoga blocks before. These are cork yoga blocks, which means they are harder than the foam ones that you can get any place for real cheap. I want you to focus on getting cork yoga blocks, wood yoga blocks, something hard, because you need to be able to put your whole weight into it. Okay, so having said that, that's your yoga blocks that you guys are going to acquire. And then today's shapes, what we're going to work on are two positions. So in yoga, this would be called child's pose. Okay, but the foundation of this position is your heels to your butt, okay, which is a full closure of the knee joint. Now, closure of the knee joint is really, really important because it is the only way that you get oxygen and blood flow into the knees. Okay, so if you want to have healthy knees, if you always want to be able to bend, squat, get down, and do stuff, you've got to work your way to this position right here so that you can get proper oxygen and blood flow into the knees. Now, anytime you start to do this stuff, bending into knees, you've got to also pay attention to what's happening at the ankles and the feet, because they are also very influential into this chain. So let me just say this. My ability to sit with my butt on my heels is something that I had to reacquire. Like, you're born with it as a kid, and then, you know, over your athletic career, whatever you're doing, you start to lose that. And I don't know when I lost it, but I do know that when I started on my Pilates journey in my late 30s, that this was about as far as I could get, okay? And so if this is where you are, that's okay. So this is why the yoga blocks are important, because one of the most important things you got to learn how to do is find a way to get the weight of your hips down into the floor while in this position. Okay, so even if that means that you've got to double up your yoga blocks so they're really, really tall, that is okay. Because the first part to getting range in this position is to get to a point where your head and your hips are pressing into the floor, and then you can relax and use your breathing. So there's that breathing thing again. So you got to remember, when you're at the end range of any stretch, your breath is a rep. So if you can do 3, 5, 10 breaths, you're actually going to get yourself stronger, get yourself longer. So that's what you're working on. So in the beginning, you may just have your yoga block and you're practicing sitting down into it, bringing your weight forward where there's not as much pressure. Sitting down into it, bringing yourself forward where there's not as much pressure, okay? Another way that you can start to get deeper into that stretch is to bend your feet and then press your toes into the mat. Now, again, as we get into different things, I'll talk to you guys about how to use your toes better. And I'm going to change the angle of my block right here so I can really feel this sitting down. But you're going to spread your toes and keep your feet vertical. And so without the yoga block, you might find it a little bit easier to sit yourself on your heels. Okay? Okay, so the stretching action, so once you get a feeling of something on the heels, so I'm going to go from this position just because this is where I am right now. And what you've got to do now is practice your scoop skills, where you pull your belly button in and up, and that's going to start to help you feel strength from the bottom of the movement. So what I want you guys to practice from here is scoop skills, and then articulating forward, taking your head to the floor, keeping your butt as close as you can to your heels, and then articulating back up to this standing position. So you're going to practice that 3-4 times using your breath, inhaling for length, exhaling, and dropping down. And that's going to help
give you more range to the back side of your lower back where you can get deeper into this stretch action. So that's step one for this stretch. Your second step in this stretch is going to be to working it with the ankles in a plantar flexion or a pointed action. So this pointed action, even though I know we're still talking about the quads. Yes, we are talking about the quads, but the leg is a chain. And so the tension that you're feeling in the knees is happening because you're not fully able to support and ground yourself into the floor. So to get this action strong, you first have to get this action strong. Those things have to come together. So to have your foot bent like this, that's a good start because A, it lets you close your hip. And then it also lets you work the muscles at the front of this foot. Now, once you point your toes, you've got to push with your feet to get these muscles at the front of the legs working. Okay, with these muscles at the front of the legs working, it'll be easier to see on me without the yoga block. With these muscles at the front of the leg working, that is what creates strength into the closing of the knees. Okay, so this is something that I was working on. I work on still, squeezing my heels to the center. So you can see as I squeeze my heels to the center, there's more space. Now as I drop down, like the natural tendency is for it to roll down. That's because that's where your ankles have the most space. But I'm gonna press my heels into the butt and keep opening this ankle space. And this ankle space gives me the ability to push into my shins. And remember, my quads, their job is to straighten my legs. So when I push into my shins, I turn all of this on, and that's how I get the length and the strength. So you push with an inhale, exhale, and you let it drop. Push with an inhale, exhale, and you let it drop. The more tension you feel, the more you scoop. Scooping pulls it from the inside, pushing pulls it from the outside, and this is how you work on your strength and your length to start to enjoy this position. Okay? Anytime you're feeling really, really stressed, but you need to stay because you've got to stay in the work, okay? You can put your hands on your yoga blocks. You can lift, okay? You can bring your hands to the front, get your chest. If you can get anything onto the floor, it will take pressure off your quad. So let's say you're not able to get down very low. Here's my hands on my yoga blocks like this. All of these different versions will work. Okay, here's my head on my yoga block. Okay, just allowing me to like turn off a little bit. Okay, and even in this off position, I could push, push, push for more length. Okay, so, we're gonna leave it at that for today. Okay, so that was your, I don't even think I can call this a quad stretch. I think this is one of those examples where we have to say that what we are stretching is a shape. Okay, and so the shape that we're stretching, I taught it like this. This is a kneeling shape. Okay, but in your Pilates, you've seen this shape. So in rolling like a ball, when we do that, okay, that's that same shape. You've seen this shape before. If you lie on your back and I pull my knees in, that's that same shape again. Okay, so in all of these versions of the shape, you need the same skill if you want to get the range. So the skill of my feet, you can see me pushing, so it's like my shins are on, and I pull and I push, okay? So the other versions, the most challenging version of the shape is you sitting on your knees because you've got your entire weight on top of your legs. That's nothing new for your legs. Your legs carry your entire weight all the time. So the change is that in the kneeling shape, you've got to carry your entire weight on your legs, but you're pressing through your shins and your ankles, and that is going to create more space for you to breathe and get long, and that is what we're after. So enjoy this shape. Until next week.